Hey guys, just a quick random video here, kind of reflecting on fishing and my thoughts on it after kind of experiencing all aspects of fishing. I've fished for for all freshwater species and saltwater and fly fishing and yeah, caught just about everything from tuna to halibut, just trout, to bass fishing tournaments. So, anyways, let me just kind of give you my thoughts on the whole sport. All right. So this kind of embodies what fishing is all about, right? It's understanding seasonal patterns of the fish, the environment, how changes in the environment affect the fish, and then the adjustments you need to make according to the environment and the seasonal patterns, and then next is presentation, how you present the lures to the fish, and then it all leads to high percentage. And it's all fishing is a game of percentages. It's all about using high percentage lures and high percentage areas, and using a presentation that um, is most effective at catching the fish. So that just takes years and years of experience, a lot of hard work and a lot of study, right? Um, so the main thing is, understanding everything about the fish and understanding um, what they what their primary forage is and what their behavior is, right? That's the main thing about fishing. Fish behave in certain ways, right? All fish kind of relate to structure, some sort of structure, bottom feature. It could be weeds growing off the bottom. It could be hard bottoms. It could be rock. It could be stumps. It could be all sorts of things. Humps, channels. All fish kind of use channels as road maps or when they migrate. So kind of keep that in mind. I would say that even if salmon in the ocean, right? They constantly or repeatedly, season after season, would be in certain areas, and usually it's because there's like underwater hump or some sort of big gully out there. Something about that area. It could be an island that they hang around, but there's some sort of reason why they're there and why bait fish are there. So you'd have to kind of keep that in mind. Likewise for striped bass, there's areas where they go to feed. They're like dinner tables, right? They go to certain areas. Could be a current break of some sort, a point, you know. And bass are no different. They'll move up to certain areas from deep water based on whether or not the weather conditions are favorable. And how far they move up is depending on how favorable the conditions are for them. And some of the things to really pay attention to are, of course, wind. Wind creates current. There's a lot of times where you're fishing and say trout fishing and or you're trolling for trout or kokanee, and a lot of times the wind direction will play a key role. Sometimes the fish will hit if you're trolling a certain direction in relation to the wind. So you got to kind of pay attention to that. Also, if you're a trout troller or fish for salmon or whatever, you always want to you don't want to troll in a straight line. It's best to every once in a while veer off to the left or right, ever so slightly, and change that direction of that troll. A lot of times a fish will be following it, and then as soon as it veers off a little bit, that's when they bite. So a lot of times I'll make little S turns if I'm trolling, slight S turns. So, anyways, there's a lot to fishing, and it's just really a process of discovery. It's a process of self-discovery. It's not someone telling you, "Oh yeah, I caught fish on a spinner bait," on this point, for example. It's it's a lot more than that. If someone tells you, "Oh yeah, the fish are here, and I caught them on this," then it kind of ruins it because it's like a puzzle, right? Every time you go out, it's like a puzzle. You're trying to figure out all the pieces and put all the pieces of the puzzle together. And that's kind of what fishing is. It's a personal process of self-discovery, right? You're trying to discover and put all the pieces together. And there's a lot of technology out there right now that kind of throws a wrench into this whole process, right? Like forward-facing sonar. And I'm not going to get into all that, but I'd advise you stay away from that because it kind of is like somebody telling you, okay, there's fish on that point and use that lure, right? It's you know, there's two aspects of fishing. It's finding the fish and catching the fish, and when you have technology that kind of does that for you, then it's not it takes the game to changes the game, right? It's not very sporty either. All right, so anyways, that's it. You know, I'd say to be a better angler, you have to pay attention to details. You really have, what you put into fishing is really what you get out of it, you know. And the main thing is just keep things simple and just try to enjoy, you know. There are times when it could be frustrating, but you know, every time you go out, it's a new adventure, and as you get better, you'll know you know, why you caught fish and why you didn't catch fish, you know. And bass fishing tournaments is all about catching the bigger fish. And in all fishing, it should be about catching the bigger fish, because those are the ones that really tell you that you know that you're doing something right. It's not the small fish that are telling you you're doing something right necessarily. You know, like in bass fishing tournaments, you could go out and you could catch a limit of fish, and you could come into weigh-in thinking that you did good, and all these other guys brought in these huge bags of fish, right? And so it's all about catching the bigger fish and understanding, truly understanding the fish and what they're doing on that particular day. All right, on that particular moment. Okay, so anyways, that's it, random video. So I hope that helps somebody and kind of set your mind frame in the correct way. All right, thanks.